Welcome to a special edition of Keepin It Real, panel discussions with entrepreneurs who have shared their stories in our guest blog and join us to discuss topics trending in business. Each of our guests is a finalist in the Share Your Stories Micro Marketing Grant. And in the spirit of collaboration over competition, they join us to discuss entrepreneurship in a digital world. Each of our guests will share their expertise as business owners who are not only increasing their visibility, but credibility as thought leaders and experts in their field. To help us explore the topic, we have an international panel with representation from Australia, Canada, and the United States. And in alphabetical order, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce you to our expert panel. Kathy Baldwin is the founder of Kathy Baldwin. Wendy is the parent behind the child author, Gabriella Dias. Jamie Perez is the founder of Beyond Words Productions. Kelly Ryan is the founder of Nerdy Nutrition. And Juliana Lehman is the founder of Naturally Joyous. Welcome, everyone.
So excited to be here, Trish.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
It's so wonderful to have an international panel because what I'm really interested in hearing is, we all say that we're all so different and yet the same. So I want to start with asking this question that everybody usually rolls their eyes and say, do you have a formal marketing strategy? And I'm going to start with the child author because I know that your mom is doing all of your marketing, but did you work together? Do you have a formal marketing strategy, Gabby?
Well, I think a really big part of getting our stories out there has been through social media.
Right.
My mom has managed like TikTok and Instagram accounts, and we've received a lot of great feedback from that, as well as a lot of newspapers and media accounts that we've been featured on.
Right. And did you actually write pen to paper and have a strategy where you said, on this week and this month, we're going to share this story, or did you just organically let it happen?
Yeah, kind of just go with the flow.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that sometimes makes more sense, right?
Yeah.
Juliana, what about you? Do you have a formal marketing strategy?
Yeah, so mine is rooted in my podcast. I've been podcasting weekly for a bit over 5 years now. And we also have a branded newsletter that accompanies the podcast. It goes out about 4 days after each episode. And we've been consistent for a few years now, delivering 80 to 90% value and sprinkle, whatever is happening, offers and so on throughout as well. Yeah, so
How
that's
many
kind of the root of
episodes do
mine.
you have?
We're about to launch number 249, I think, not counting some of the bonus series that we've done before.
Well, there you go. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And what about Kelly? Do you have a formal marketing strategy or is yours organic as well?
A little bit of both. So the formal part of it is my blog post, which I put that out weekly. It's pre-planned. And then I put a LinkedIn post to go along with it. But then the more informal part of it is the rest of my LinkedIn posts are a lot of times it depends on what's going on, I use certain things like different days of the year as inspiration, or maybe what's going on in my own life or what I hear from my clients. So that can be kind of a bit fluid. The other part of my marketing strategy is in-person networking events. And so I guess they're a bit more specific or scheduled.
For sure. And Jamie, what about you?
Mine, a lot of it is the in-person networking, but I think if we're talking about something that I don't think a lot of people do that I do, is I do a lot of 60-second video tips of the month. And this is just DIY, how to create your own stories within your business or your organization, because I think that's what a lot of people struggle with, but not everybody necessarily has the budget to create a whole video package for themselves, to hire someone professionally. So a lot of times I'll just do a quick 30 to 60 seconds on Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook, giving people tips and advice. Here's some good interview questions and skill sets. Here's how to frame something. Here's the mics you should buy. Here's things that they can easily access. And that works as a marketing tool because every time I post something like that, it positions me as the expert in the video storytelling field. So that even if someone is not going to directly do business with me, anytime they think of video storytelling, they'll think of me and they'll refer me. So it's been very helpful to get word of mouth.
Perfect. And Kathy?
I'm going to piggyback on what Jamie said. My marketing strategy is about becoming the expert in the podcasting industry. So I am a monthly contributor for Podcast Stars magazine. Of course, I do social media. I have a brand new summit that's going to be bi-monthly. That is an ecosystem for podcasters and the entire industry. So to help support their growth. I do a lot of speaking engagements on podcasts, but also very large stages. But my favorite ways are collaborative partnerships.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're the ones that sort of get us the most mileage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Now, you've all mentioned credibility, and I know that one of the things that in my intro, I mentioned that as part of increasing our visibility, we're also building our credibility. So Juliana, I'm going to ask you, because you have mentioned that you've been podcasting consistently for a number of years. How do you feel that has positioned your credibility in the industry in which you're doing your business?
For my podcast, I'd say there's two very specific streams that have been from feedback, but also listeners talking to me about. And the first one is actually current clients or even past clients that have finished the more one-on-one work with myself that really stay tuned into the show and they listen to it as part of, there's like a little bit of a parallel with how I run the show with how I run my coaching as well. So it's very, I'd say, like not always the same topic, but it's very much in tune with whatever it is that I'm launching, teaching, and so on in my membership. So it has been helpful for nurturing past and current clients. And the other side of my podcast has been I have a very formal affiliate program, like referrals and networking has also been, I would say 98% of my business all these years looking back, because I had to do the math for another project. So I do host a lot of my collaborators on the show as well. And it has been a very like beneficial way to feature someone else that brings value to my audience. But also in that way, we get to know each other better and build those relationships deeper. So those have been the two major, I would say, avenues. My podcast is ads free, and I decided to do it on purpose. So I'm not looking to necessarily profit on the podcast, but use it more for the two sort of specific angles that I described.
Sure. Now, Wendy, perhaps you can answer this on behalf of Gabby, because as the mother behind the child author, how do you build the credibility for the amazing talent that your daughter has at such a young age?
Well, it's been a journey, and I think I'd put it down to creating stepping stones. You know, this is kind of morphed into what it is thanks to Gabby, because she wrote one book and then she wrote another. So it's been something that I've been trying to catch up with her on it. It started with obviously just producing the book and getting that in her hands, or all the books, and then it was, well, I kind of tagging on your name of your business, Trish, share your story. I just had this drive that I wanted her stories to be shared, right? So let's put up a website. And so that was a great project to work on. We had a lot of creative, I mean, because Gabby's got all these incredible characters and maps that we were able to illustrate and put up there. So that put her out into the world, so to speak. And then what followed was social media. So TikTok for us was a big one. And when we saw the interest and the feedback from that, it kind of spurred us on. And then obviously the awards that followed has been very special. That happened at the beginning of this year. And that just put her into being recognized at that level was, again, it all forms part of this picture, you know, and the credibility is compounded as we go.
You know, a lot of you have mentioned the social media platforms that you use and the various different platforms that speak to your target market. Tell me a little bit about the likes and follows. Is that as important as the overall visibility? I mean, the algorithms on these platforms are changing at lightning speed, at least from my point of view. And I can't seem to keep up with, what's the best way to share the story. So, Jamie, I'm going to ask you how you feel about the likes and follows. Are they as important as the overall visibility of the content that you share?
The short answer is no, although getting more likes and follows is certainly not a bad thing. That definitely helps. But I mean, just from personal experience, like not every single one of my posts gets a lot of likes, but I know people are seeing it because if you look at the impressions and, I still get messages from people like, hey, I saw your post about whatever, and nobody actually liked the post. I know that it still resonated with people. And then you also have to think about your own consumer habits on social media. Like when you're scrolling through, even if you mentally like something, you don't always physically click the like button. So I
true.
just don't take anything like that very personally or as a real tangible measure of how successful my business is online. But I know that I get a lot of referrals and visibility online. So something is working.
Right. And I like the fact that you mentioned that it's not as important as the referrals that you get from what you post. And I think that's the really important thing, right? Because the whole purpose of posting is to convert prospects into customers, right? And if we don't know what we don't know when we're posting content. And sometimes I think we sprinkle the infield. But Kelly, tell me a little bit about your philosophy on the likes and follows. Are they as important as overall visibility?
I kind of agree with Jamie actually. Now I'm on LinkedIn, which it works a little bit differently than some of the other social media platforms because you don't see everything immediately. There's times when it'll be 6 months later and somebody is reposting something I posted 6 months ago,
Mhm.
So I find LinkedIn is which is my main platform of choice. I find that one seems to work a little differently, but really the reposts are beneficial. Other than that, it really is the overall visibility is definitely more important.
Now, I'm going to ask Gabby because I think TikTok is the platform for the younger generation, what shall we say? And I know that some of your posts have actually gone viral. So when you're posting on TikTok, how do you sort of quantify the success of that particular post? Is it basically just the likes and follows? Or is it even, your classmates who are saying that they saw your TikTok post?
Well, a few of our posts have gone quite viral, and a lot of my classmates have actually seen them. But I think that it's more important that people across the world are seeing it because since TikTok is such a universal platform, people across the planet can see what we've posted, and that also means a lot to me because so many people that I've never met before are seeing my story and taking it in, and it's just really important to me.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and congratulations to you on those viral things, Wendy.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to add on to that because Gabby's hit the nail on the head with that. And I think for us, yes, it's great to have likes, but what we also love seeing is the feedback and hearing how what Gabby's doing is inspiring others. We've had some amazing comments and feedback from people from all over. So that for us is also very important. Yeah.
Now, Kathy, you're targeting folks who are doing podcasts, who are trying to get likes and follows and increase their visibility while maintaining some credibility. What about for yourself? Because you're targeting the people who are actually online communicating with other B2B or B2C customers. So what is your quantification for the posts that you make?
Well, I think likes and follows are vanity metrics more than anything. It is the people that reach out and say, I saw you here. I know you have this. You are the expert I'm looking for advice from. And to me, that is the real conversion, is being known, being respected in my industry. And that's what I focus in on. So for me, it's more about, am I aligned with my message? Am I delivering content that I'm proud of? And I just let the rest of it go, knowing that the right people are going to find it at the right times.
Right. Now, perhaps you can share what has been one of your best marketing campaigns to date. And, you know, we've sort of said that the matrix of likes and follows are not as important, so you don't have to include that kind of thing in your messaging. But tell us what platform did you find that you had the most success on? And what was it that you featured? So what was the content that you were sharing that got you that amazing conversion? And maybe we'll start with Gabby and Wendy, because you've had such great success on TikTok.
So it would be our TikTok. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be TikTok. And I think it was more sharing your life as a young author
Yeah.
and everything that came with that, you know, day-to-day stuff.
Because my website, it has all of the professional stuff and all of my books, but then the TikTok account actually gives more of an insight on like the process and the stuff you have to go through with editing and actually getting the stories out there. So it's a lot more personal.
And very real, you know, real life stuff that happens.
Yeah.
Right. Keeping it real, right? Like, because people want to get to know the person behind the logo. They want to get to know Gabby, especially when you're talking about her as the author. And being such a young author, I'm sure that people are curious as to how those stories actually came about. So thank you so much for sharing that. Jamie, what would you say would be, I mean, you mentioned your little 60-minute, information sessions that you do. Would you say that that's been your best form of marketing today?
No, not 60 minutes, 60 seconds.
60 seconds, sorry.
I think I would say between two different ones. One is actually showcasing the work, right? So showing how or a business can tell their story and posting that online. I mean, all of my videos are heartfelt, emotional stories. And so I think when I post, for example, a construction company that tells a heartfelt story, or a CPA that's posting a heartfelt story, things that are not inherently heartfelt, that you wouldn't think would have such an emotional backstory, when people actually see like, oh, that's what I can do with my business, that's how I can connect with people in a way that's not just sharing what you do, but why you do it and who you're impacting, I think that is where people make the aha moment that's really hard to explain. But the second one is doing video testimonials. I think those are king for any business to have, because anybody can fake a testimonial on their website or online, and you just type it up and you post it, right? But videos are a lot harder to fake when you have someone who has absolutely nothing to gain by going on camera and talking about how wonderful you are and how you impacted and transformed their life, other than to just talk about how great you are to work with. So those would be two things that I have found the most success in on LinkedIn and Facebook.
Perfect. Kathy, what about you?
Well, because Finally Podcast Automation System is brand new, I really need to be able to explain to people what it is, what it solves. And so it is those one-on-one conversations that usually come from collaborative opportunities, whether it's through networking, through different business collaborations of sharing the same audience, the same clients, but delivering different solutions. I feel that that is what has been working best for me, because people don't know that my solution exists.
Right. Yeah. Well, you're on the innovative side of things, right? So
Yeah,
you're
so
in
I need to
innovation.
explain things.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And Kelly, what about you?
I find anything where I'm sharing either something personal or a client having fun with one of my wellness inspired murder mystery parties, and they're all dressed up and laughing, those are really the two types of posts that I find get me the most traction. So either it's personal to me, like, hey, I'm excited to be nominated for this award, or whether it's something personal itself, or I posted a picture of a group, they all dressed up as superheroes for my superhero academy. And that type of thing I find gets a lot of traction because it's real, you know.
right.
People can
They can relate.
can relate, can feel what they feel,
yeah,
right? So
yeah, for sure. Thank
Yeah.
you. And Juliana, what has been one of your best forms of marketing? Because you're actually talking about topics that people don't necessarily want to talk about.
Yes. Which, you know, in a way, I do also bring clients successful stories on the podcast as well for like the whole testimonial aspect. But I do it in a way that I position in a way that the questions I'm asking them is serving the listener more than just glorifying my business, right? So
Right.
that they're actually talking about the pain points that they had and the sort of tipping points and transformations that they had, so other people can hear how would that be if I were in their shoes. So it's a specific style of questions that I do for that. And then I link those testimonials in my sales pages and website and so on. That also promotes the podcast. So it's kind of like a
Right.
win-win.
Right.
And the second one has been through my writing. So now my second book is coming up next week at the time of this recording here. In the book, even though it is, you know, value packed and like I do the audio version as well. So it's easy to consume. And then through the bonuses of the book, that's how they get into my email list and into, you know, have a podcast linked to like a playlist to the book as well. So I kind of like try to really sort of create a little bit of a network. Then once you come into the world, then you can pick the path that feels more doable to get started. Yeah.
Right, right. Now, three of you are authors. So I'm going to ask an author question because, you know, writing books is one of the ways in which we not only tell stories, but depending on the product or service that you provide, it's also a calling card. It's like a new form of marketing in itself. Now, Gabby, of course, is telling stories in her story. So she's trying to sell a series of books, which is a little bit different. But Kathy, tell us a little bit about your book, which is, you know, Unlearn the Crap. How have you found that even that title and the name of your book has got you a little bit of attention when you're in the social media world?
Well, Unlearn the Crap is not a name that people forget.
True.
And they immediately identify with, and it starts a whole conversation. What do you mean? And from there, those conversations lead to other things. Same with what I did with Finally, was create the name that wanted to create the sensation I wanted to stay visceral in the body. And so I use my writing, whether it's in magazines or my books or whatever, in order to create a brand, but an emotion.
Sure, for sure. Now, Gabby, you have some amazing characters in your books, and I'm sure you're sharing the pictures of those characters in your social posts, and I'm sure you're talking about how you created them. And I seem to think that there was one storyboard which sort of said how all of these characters are kind of connected. And I know when I looked at that, I thought, okay, this can't possibly be, this can't be true. How does this young lady have all of these characters in her brain? But how is that actually helping?
Hang on one
We
second.
actually
We're getting it.
We're gonna get it for you.
Oh, good.
It's
Oh,
a family
perfect.
tree
Yeah.
of most of my characters. And how
Like,
they're
it's
all-
actually incredible that you have this family tree in your book, and it's got, how many characters do we have on the page?
Oh,
I don't think
a
someone
lot.
could
Can
count
I
that.
actually?
That took a while.
It's a quick story on how that actually came about, because this latest book, they're more characters. It's the next generation of characters. So I said to Gabby, this is going to be confusing. You need to put something together. And so I came back a day or two later, and she had whipped it up. So
I made a little presentation on Canva, and I'd put little names and connected them with lines.
so that's now featuring in the next 4 books of hers, because it's the next generation of characters. So yes.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a wonderful way to teach your audience how to stay connected with the stories and to follow those characters from sort of the beginning to the end, because you've got 8 books in your series, right? Is it
9.
8?
9.
9. Oh, wow, there you go.
Yeah, 9.
So it's a wonderful way to keep the reader engaged, right?
Yeah.
It's also about the footnotes as well. We've used footnotes, or Gabby's put in footnotes, and so she often refers back to things in the previous books, and that's also a great technique and tool. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Now, Juliana, you mentioned that you're launching your second book. Do you want to give our viewing and listening audience just a sneak peek as to how much time it takes to write a book?
Mm, it'd be hard. Like I worked heavily on this one from January on,
Mhm.
but the way that I write the book is maybe a little bit different. I'm a very visual person, so I map things visually. My process is a lot lengthier than maybe other people, to be honest. And it is just like this sort of like organic putting the pieces together. A lot of the things I tested, the content and podcasting and social in my group, and then really seeing what the questions the women had and how it landed. And then I would write those chapters. So
Right.
it's a little bit more with the audience participation in a way than my first book was. So it was a bit
Mhm.
longer than normally.
Ah.
Yeah.
Now, Jamie and Kelly, have you thought about writing a book, or is that something that's in your repertoire of things to do in the future?
I am currently writing two different books, but I know that they will not be done for years. One of the reason is because one, the chapter of my life that I am in right now is going to be the middle point of this book. So
Ah,
I can't fast forward time to see where I'm going to be at
yeah.
in 5, 10 years, but there's a lot of different ways that I've turned a lot of traumas into trophies that is not done being written yet. The
Oh,
other
the best
one,
is yet to come.
that's right. And the other one is just I'm super slammed in my business right now, so it's taken a seat on the back burner.
And I think that happens with all authors, right? I mean, we have this designated time to write, but I mean, business comes first. So when things are going at Mach 2 with your hair on fire, you got to take advantage of it and, put the book on the back burner. And Kelly, what about you? Have you been thinking at all about writing a book, or do you participate at all in, I know that you mentioned you do blogs, and that's writing, but are you thinking of putting it together into a book?
I have wanted to write a book for a very, very long time. My two next big things that I want to do are keynote speeches and write a book. I'm struggling with what I want to write about. Because I've created recipes, so I could do a cookbook. I have created 8 health zap or wellness zapping supervillains and superheroes, so that could be a book,
Yeah, for sure.
right? Or a comic, or I could do something a bit more on the nose, like taking information from my blog posts, right?
Right,
So
right.
it's nailing that idea down and figuring out what really resonates with me.
Well, I want to mention that what I love about our discussion today is that we've shared not only the things that work, but some of the things that don't work, right? And the things that we're thinking about in order to expand our target market. And those are our really valuable tips for our viewing and listening audience. For us to wrap up our discussion today, I'd like each of you to share one word for someone who may be starting their own business and they're in the great idea stage and not yet ready to explode onto the digital stage. So think of a word that you would like to share with someone who may be starting a business. And let's start with you, Juliana. What would your word be?
I think for me, the word would be simplify, simplify, simplify.
So true, right? We complicate things to the point where sometimes we're paralyzed. We don't know which direction to go in, right?
And often the things that really move the needle early on, or even as we're scaling, are tough things to do, things that are uncomfortable, out of our comfort zone. So we keep ourselves busy, right? I think we all do that in a way, one way or another, that feels good, that we're being productive, but we're not actually spending time on the activities that really move the needle. And that could be for writing, for whatever we're doing. So I think the more simplicity we bring, the harder it is to get distracted on things that will not actually make an
Bring in
impact at the end of
revenue.
the
Yeah,
day. Yeah.
for sure. For sure. Kathy, what about you? What would be your word?
Well, my favorite quote is James Clear. We don't rise to the level of our dreams and goals. We fall to the level of our systems. So I would say systematize and automate.
So true, because it's all in the process, right? I mean, every author has a process when they write, every business owner has a process and a strategy in order to engage their target market. So that's very true. That's very good advice. Jamie?
Mine would be resilience. I think that you have to have a very tough skin. You have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to take no over and over and over again. And I think one of the best parts about being a business owner is not learning how to run a business, but it's the inner work that it requires to run a successful business.
So true. And Gabby and Wendy, you can each share a word.
For mine, I think it would probably be perseverance, because a lot of the time, I mean, I don't know that much about this compared to my mom, but when you're building like a business or a strategy or a story, there are going to be like a lot of things that you just have to push through, whether it's just like you don't feel like doing this or something's pulled you down. And it's like in every story, there's villains and there's obstacles. And in real life, they don't all have teeth and claws, but you still have to get through them and you still have to be determined to make your way over.
Yeah, that's very good advice. And Wendy?
I'm inspired by my daughter with my word, and that's being creative. Keep being creative, not only in the development of your product or your service, but if something doesn't work, how can you get around that? What can you do better or something different? So don't let those creative, that creativeness stop. That would be my word. Yeah.
Yeah, very true. Well, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining me today and giving us a glimpse into some of the issues that are real issues behind the scenes as business owners. So thank you so much for spending some time and sharing your expertise.
Thank you.
Trish.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
You know, we appreciate all of your contributions as well as business owners. And on behalf of the Share Your Stories community and all of the people who are watching today, we'd like to wish you continued success as you lead by example as both role models and mentors in your communities. And if you'd like to connect with one of our panel guests, you'll find their story and contact information in the description portion below. I'm Trish Tonai, author, artist, and the founder and host for the series. And if you're interested in sharing your business story, visit our website at shareyourstories.online. In the meantime, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel or podcast station. Kathy, Wendy, Jamie, Kelly, Juliana, and Gabby, and I would like to thank you for joining us. And we look forward to meeting you next time with another special edition of Keeping It Real.